Eagles were in total control. Everything pointed to another win. They had the Broncos cornered, with the game firmly in their grasp. And then it slipped. What should have been another solid W turned into a brutal collapse that left fans stunned and frustrated. And let's be real here, the Eagles didn't just lose this game. They gave it away. From a jump, Philly looked locked in. The offense was clicking, the defense was dominating, and it felt like one of those classic Eagles performances where everything just goes right. Saquon Barkley burst out early with a 17-yard run that instantly ignited the crowd and set the tone. Jalen Hurts was finding his rhythm, connecting with A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, and of course, Devonta Smith, who had himself a night. Some of the play designs were genuinely impressive, especially the ones that completely shredded Denver's blitz packages. The Eagles were cooking. They strung together a beautiful 12-play, 70-yard drive that only ended in a field goal. The first time all season, they were held to 3 in the red zone, but even that didn't feel like a problem at the time. The offense was moving. On the next drive, Hurts dropped a tight window slant to A.J. Brown, then followed it up with a 52-yard bomb to Devonta Smith on 3rd and 17. That throw? Pure perfection. Smitty burned his man down the right sideline, and Hurts put it right on the money. Then a pass interference set up 1st and goal, and Hurts hit Goddard for the touchdown. Boom. 10-3. Philly was rolling. And the best part? They didn't slow down after halftime. Hurts opened the third quarter by finding Smitty again on a slant for 21 yards. Devonta Smith was on fire. After all the noise during the week about him and A.J. Brown being frustrated with their roles in the offense, this was exactly the kind of game you wanted to see. He finished with 8 catches for a season-high 114 yards and proved exactly why he needs to be fed the ball. But the highlight of the night? Saquon Barkley on a wheel route. Hurts checked into the play at the line. Full control, total awareness. And Barkley took it 47 yards to the house after torching former Eagle Alex Singleton. That play was all about the recognition and decision-making by Hurts, who saw the matchup, made the audible, and delivered. Philly was up 17-3. Momentum, confidence, control, they had it all. And then it all unraveled. That fourth quarter was a disaster, and the Eagles only have themselves to blame. Mistakes, penalties, sloppy execution. They completely lost their grip. The offense, which had been firing on all cylinders, suddenly couldn't stay on schedule. 3 false starts, 2 of them in the same position group, completely stalled drives. Runs that could have flipped the field got called back. Big plays wiped out by avoidable infractions. That stuff will kill you, and it did. The biggest missed opportunity? A deep shot to A.J. Brown that could have sealed the game. Hurts had him wide open for a would-be touchdown to put the Eagles up by 3 scores. But Brown slowed up in the middle of the route, misread the play, and by the time he looked for the ball, it was too late. In a tight game like this, that kind of mistake hurts. No pun intended. And to be fair, A.J. owned it after the game. He knew they missed on a big one, but that was just one of many moments that piled up and came back to haunt them. Because let's not forget, the defense did its job for most of the game. Through 3 quarters, they held Denver to just a field goal. 6 straight punts after the opening score. That's solid, no question. They had Bo Nix off rhythm, the Broncos' run game contained, and Philly's front 7 was doing work. Especially Azeez Ojulari. In his debut after being inactive the first 4 games, he made an immediate impact, setting the edge, getting into the backfield, and applying pressure. He looked hungry. He looked ready. And now the coaching staff has no excuse to keep him off the field going forward. But the fourth quarter exposed cracks. The Broncos found life with a long touchdown drive on the ground. Then came the air attack. Courtland Sutton made clutch catches. Evan Ingram got loose for a score, and suddenly it was 17-15. And then came the 2-point conversion. Bo Nix to Troy Franklin on the outside, who beat Khalil Ringo, a corner who, to be fair, is still developing but struggled in his second start. He got targeted 6 times, gave up 4 catches, and allowed 3 first downs. It wasn't a meltdown, but it definitely wasn't the step forward the Eagles hoped for. Growing pains, sure, but this game didn't offer much comfort. And then came the flags. Penalties. Again, Brett Toth gets called for holding and wipes out a promising drive. Tyler Steen flagged for being illegally downfield. 4th and 4. Hurts and Smith connect for 30 yards. Erased because of an illegal shift by Saquon Barkley. That's 3 separate drives shot down by mental errors. If even one of those plays holds up, we might be talking about a comeback when instead of a painful loss. Then, the officiating got involved. And while blaming the refs is rarely the full story, it's hard to ignore how badly they botched some key moments. The intentional grounding that wasn't called on Bo Nix? Game-changing. The soft roughness penalty on Zach Bond for a routine hit during a play where the ball carrier was fighting for extra yards? Come on. What is Bond supposed to do? Wait for the runner to get tackled before joining in. That flag gave the Broncos 15 free yards and took away a 3rd down stop. Brutal. Even still, the Eagles got one last shot. Jahan Dotson made a big play to give them some life. Hurts took a deep shot to Dallas Goedert and got absolutely robbed. Clear pass interference, no flag. You could see Goddard getting grabbed mid-route. Refs swallowed the whistle. And on the final desperation play, both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith ended up in the same spot, with A.J. almost disrupting what could have been a miracle catch by Smitty. No one's fault there, just chaos. And with that, the undefeated streak was done. Philly falls to 4-1, and while fans will point fingers at the officiating, and again, not without reason, this game was lost because the Eagles beat themselves. Unforced errors, lack of discipline, inconsistent execution, the kind of things that championship teams just can't afford to do. The real question now is how this team bounces back. Because for all the talent on this Eagles roster, for all the leadership and veteran presence in the locker room, this kind of collapse will test everything. It's not just about fixing X's and O's or cutting down penalties. It's about mental toughness, accountability, and urgency. And thankfully, that mindset already seems to be taking hold. Players didn't sugarcoat anything after the loss. They owned it. The word that kept coming up? Self-inflicted. They said it over and over because that's exactly what this was. A game they had in their hands and let slip away because they kept shooting themselves in the foot. That kind of honesty matters. It shows that they know the standard. They know what this team is supposed to look like. But talk is only step one. Now they've got to respond. And they'll need to do it fast because a short week is coming and the New York Giants are up next. And it's not just a quick turnaround. It's a divisional game. In prime time. On Thursday Night Football. That's the kind of spotlight where all the flaws from the last game can either linger or get erased with a bounce-back win. But there's not a lot of room for error. And honestly, there's not a lot of time for excuses either. One of the biggest issues that has to be addressed, and it's been simmering for weeks now, is the run game. You cannot walk out of a game where Saquon Barkley only touches the ball 6 times on the ground. It doesn't make sense. Not when you're leading for 3 quarters. Not when you're trying to control the clock. And not when you've got one of the most dynamic backs in the league in your backfield. And look, it's not about swinging the offense completely to the ground game. This isn't a call to go full ground and pound. Hurts throwing 38 times isn't a problem in itself. The issue is balance, or the lack of it. You need to keep defenses honest. You need to protect your quarterback. You need to help your offensive line, especially when they're banged up like this one clearly is. Landon Dickerson went out early in the game, and his absence was felt immediately. The offensive line is the heartbeat of this team, and right now, it's not performing at the level it needs to. Whether it's fatigue, injuries, or just lapses in communication, the execution in the trenches has to get sharper and fast. And there's some concern that Saquon might not be fully healthy either. Monday's injury report, which was just an estimation since the Eagles didn't actually practice, listed him as a DNP with a knee issue. The early word is that it's just soreness, and that he expects to play against the Giants, but it's definitely something to monitor. Because if he's even a little limited, it makes the job even harder for this offense to find the balance it so clearly needs. And if the coaching staff continues to lean away from the run game, that problem is only going to compound itself. The Eagles have too many weapons not to be explosive, but the identity of this team can't be all on the shoulders of Jalen Hurts. He's capable of carrying the load, sure. But when you're leading a game by 2 scores, there's no excuse not to lean on your ground game, eat the clock, and make life easier on your quarterback and your defense. That kind of situational awareness is where the coaching staff has to step up. Nick Sirianni and his staff need to be better. Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator, has to recognize the flow of the game and understand when to pull back and control tempo. There were moments in that fourth quarter where Philly was still playing like they were down, not like they were up by 2 possessions. That mindset is dangerous, because when you go 3 and out in a hurry and you're not burning clock, you're basically handing your opponent extra life. And that's what happened against Denver. And defensively, even though the meltdown came late, there are still positives to build on. The front 7 was dominant for most of the night. The run defense held up well, and Bo Nix was under pressure more often than not. But when it came down to it, in crunch time, they couldn't get off the field. That's where the biggest concern is. It's not about whether they're good enough to stop teams. We've seen them do it. The problem is finishing. When a team gets hot in the fourth quarter, when the momentum shifts, the Eagles have to be able to punch back. And on Sunday, they didn't. One of the few bright spots, again, was Azeez Ojulari. His debut was exactly the kind of spark this defense needed. He brought energy, quickness off the edge, and a sense of urgency that's been missing at times. You can see why the coaching staff brought him in, but now you also have to ask why it took so long to get him on the field. With Ojulari showing he can contribute, maybe that rotation on the defensive line gets a little deeper, a little more disruptive, especially in those late-game moments where fresh legs make all the difference. And as for the secondary, it's still a work in progress. With so many moving parts due to injuries and new faces stepping in, the cohesion just isn't there yet. Khalil Ringo had a rough outing. He wasn't terrible, but he looked like a young player still learning the position at this level. He got targeted. He gave up some key catches. And that 2-point conversion he allowed, it's a moment he's going to learn from. That's just the reality when you're breaking in young corners. Mistakes are going to happen. It's just magnified when those mistakes come in the biggest moments of the game. But again, none of this erases the fact that the Eagles had multiple chances to close this one out, on both sides of the ball, and they didn't. That's the sting of it. That's what makes this loss hurt more than just the number in the standings. It's that you can look at 10 different moments. The missed deep ball to A.J. Brown, the illegal shift on a 4th down conversion, the penalty on Bond, the blown coverage on the 2-point play, and realize that any one of those could have changed the outcome. It's not about being outplayed. It's about not executing when it mattered. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are growing louder in Philadelphia, and the Eagles fan base is buzzing with excitement over a tantalizing possibility. MINKAH FITZPATRICK and STEPHON Gilmore patrolling the secondary together. Imagine the kind of nightmare this duo could pose for opposing quarterbacks. A combination of speed, intelligence, and ball-hawking instincts that few teams could hope to match. Fitzpatrick, already a rising star known for his versatility and playmaking ability, has been a cornerstone of Pittsburgh's defense for years. His knack for reading plays before they even develop and his ability to shut down routes in man coverage make him one of the most coveted safeties in the league. Pair him with Gilmore, a seasoned shutdown corner with a proven track record of stifling elite receivers, and suddenly the Eagles' secondary could become a fortress. Rumors suggest that front office executives are quietly exploring ways to bring Fitzpatrick to the city of brotherly love, complementing Gilmore's expertise in a backfield that's hungry for dominance. The synergy is obvious on paper. Gilmore's experience allows him to anticipate the quarterback's eyes and break up passes before they materialize, while Fitzpatrick thrives on making game-changing plays, whether it's a timely interception or a crucial tackle. Imagine the scheme's defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon could draw up double coverage on top receivers, aggressive safety blitzes, and a secondary that dares offenses to throw anywhere near the middle of the field. The potential for highlight reel moments would be off the charts, and the psychological edge against opponents could be immeasurable. Sources close to the team, speaking off the record, Hint that discussions are already underway, though nothing is official. For Eagles fans, the idea of a backfield featuring two of the league's elite defensive backs feels almost too good to be true. If it happens, the NFC East could face a seismic shift. Quarterbacks would need to rethink their approach entirely, and the Eagles could solidify themselves as defensive juggernauts overnight. Whether it's speculation or an impending reality, one thing is clear. The mere thought of MINKAH FITZPATRIck and STEPHON Gilmore teaming up has reignited excitement around Philadelphia, reminding fans why football is as much about anticipation and rumors as it is about the action on the field. If this pairing comes to life, opposing offenses might want to start practicing their prayer. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.